بزرگداشت شهیدان سربدار در 30مین سالگرد قتل عام 67. گردهمایی سراسری جوامع ایرانیان در 20 شهر جهان.
سناتور هورکان، نايب رئیس کمیته مالی سناي جمهوری ایرلند. 30 سال پیش 30,000 زندانی شجاع در برابر رژیم تروریستی ایران سرخم نکردند. امروز ما همان شجاعت را در خیابانهای تهران می‌بینیم که شعار مرگ بر دیکتاتور سر می‌دهند. بدون شک آنچه که در سال 1367 به وقوع پیوست جنایت علیه بشریت است. این فقط یک تراژدی بزرگ در گذشته نیست، بلکه به امروز نیز مربوط است، چون تظاهرات ضد رژیم برای سرنگونی دیکتاتوری مذهبی در حال وقوع است.
Honourable colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, friends, it is a great honour to be here with you today, to add my voice to yours and to lend my support to the campaign, the international campaign that seeks justice for victims of the Iranian regime's human rights abuses and particularly the events of 1988 and 30,000 people, political prisoners, executed. We are here today to commemorate that very fact, the memory of 30,000 prisoners summarily executed in the regime's prisons without proper due process following a fatwa by then Supreme Leader Khomeini, the highest authority in Iran at the time. 30 years ago this month, tens of thousands of political prisoners in the prisons were asked one simple question: do you support the opposition, the PMOI? And if they replied yes, they went directly to the gallows. No justice, no hearings, no nothing, just executed. There is a clear textbook definition of a crime against humanity ordered by the state, and the renowned human rights barrister Geoffrey Robertson QC looked at all the facts and concluded that without a doubt what happened in 1988 was a crime against humanity. And other international NGOs, including Amnesty International, have made that same conclusion looking at all the evidence. I mentioned the background because it's not just a mere, albeit huge, tragedy of the past. It is very relevant even today because of the nationwide anti-regime protests that are taking place right across Iran with chants against the entire theocratic regime, which clearly we have seen from the footage today, both from within Iran and from many of the Iranian communities right across the globe, all the various cities we saw today. We know that the regime is still heavily and strongly opposed, not least by the NCRI, PMOI, and to thank again Madame Rajavi for all of her work and all of the huge organisation that's involved with events like today, like Veal Point, which I attended in June, like a previous event here back in January, and many other events that take place to continually keep up the pressure to let people like myself in the Irish Parliament, and we put down motions in the Irish Parliament condemning what happened in 1988 as a group of senators. I'm the deputy whip of my own group, and we have put down motions, and some of my colleagues have been here on other occasions lending support to your regime. It is important that we remember that many of those who committed the massacre in 1988 are holding senior and ministerial positions in Iran, even now. And not surprisingly, these abuses have been an integral part of the regime's brutal response to the ongoing popular protests in Iran. But the domestic repression at home has now been complemented with terrorist attacks, as we've heard outlined earlier, against the Iranian resistance movement, indeed most recently at the event in Veal Point, which thankfully was challenged and did not take place. Because clearly the regime that's in Iran, that's still in Iran, feel threatened by the connection between the PMOI and the people of Iran, and they know that the end is coming. They don't know when, but it's coming, and they are feeling very threatened, as somebody said earlier, not as much by Britain or the USA or Russia or Israel, but by the people themselves. As we know, the gathering was challenged and thankfully was successfully aborted, that particular event. Now, we now await the trial of those arrested for the Paris attack. We must have a similar process of accountability for those responsible for the 1988 massacre, of 30,000 political prisoners. In September 2016, the NCRI exposed identities of almost 60 of those regime officials still involved, and we know where they are and we know who they are. So I do join with you and others right across the 17 European cities and the 3 other cities in Canada we heard from today, and from many other Iranians and the wider community right across the globe who are absolutely shocked. 30 years ago, 30,000 brave prisoners did not bow down to the Iranian regime's reign of terror despite facing death. Today we see the same bravery on the streets of Iran with people chanting, "Down with the dictator." Like those martyrs, the people of Iran are demanding the end of the theocracy and are determined to bring about a dramatic change in their country. The international community, particularly the EU, should stand with them because they should be one. There should only be one winner in the struggle between the people and the religious tyranny that rules Iran, and that's the Iranian people and the legitimate democratic opposition, the NCRI. And we are, I'm not Iranian clearly, but lots of people right around the world identify with the struggle, look to your country as a fantastic place if it had democracy, well-resourced, huge population, very young population, and I don't doubt that sooner, hopefully rather than later, you will have a free democratic regime, and that perhaps some of the people in this room and right across the globe will be back in Iran, back in Tehran, running a free democratic government in the future. So to wish you well with everything and to congratulate the NCRI and Madame Rajavi for not allowing people to forget what happened in 1988, and right across the globe we will not forget what happened. Thank you all very much.